Hey guys, this is Mauisnake, and today I'm going to be doing a pro player analysis for Floppy, the 20-year-old star of Cloud9, the new Cloud9 roster, as a matter of fact. And if people ever ask me who they should be looking out for on this Cloud9 roster, I think the easy answer is definitely Floppy. He's shown that he's been a cut above the MDL level, which he's been playing in for so many years, for quite a while now. And now that he's finally gotten his chance at the higher pro level, he's already proven himself. He was the best rated player at the IEM Katowice qualifier. And yeah, against MiBR in the match that I chose here, you can see that he actually had, in fact, the best statistics. Might not come off like that. In fact, a lot of his plays strike me as kind of simple, kind of bland, but he does his job and he always gets a kill. If he's in his comfort zone, he's pretty much good for one every single time. Unless his hand is really forced, you're going to notice that pretty much throughout this. But it's kind of a slow start here. They're just going to be running a pretty simple setup here at Banana with Sonic at the corner, Floppy here baiting behind the sandbags. In the latest Cloud9 content, Floppy even admitted that he got to be the baiter for this team. And that's kind of his job. But I mean, I think we'll see quite a bit of his play style here, and we'll be the judge of that. So you can see that action began towards middle. Not really much to do here, but he did flank through apartments, just kind of a nice safe flank that it's usually going to catch people off guard. If his team does fall by the wayside, it's a pretty strong location to try to play a retake from. So you're going to see that he's going to help out towards B early on. He throws the jump throw over. It's just a really good quick Molotov. Also, it makes it so that the opposing team, if they come up quickly, one, the Molotov blooms fast. Two, he can already be in the bomb site. He's not going to get caught off at the corner or something like that, which sometimes happens if too many people just kind of clump up there. So, yeah, that's a big reason for that. This round, though, moves back to Arch, which is more so his typical spot. And now he's just going to be kind of peeking towards middle. MiBR haven't really shown their hand just yet in this round, although they do have 4 deagles. Or 5 deagles, 4 smokes. You'll just see that they take their time with it. Floppy begins to kind of relax here. You can kind of tell his movement not really as crispy as you'd hope, and he kind of just like lazily jiggled that, kind of showed half his body, made that a pretty easy shot for Taco, if I'm being honest here. So kind of a lazy peek, and for a star player, it's not something you're really used to seeing, but he does shape up in this game. He drops a 90 ADR. He has the highest rating in this game. So despite the slow start, we'll be seeing some action. But we're going to go through every round like we do all the time here. So a little flash play towards middle. Teammates are just kind of holding them off at B. Quite a bit of action there. So he knows that they're... I'll turn that off. Knows that there is a reason to rotate. But it goes pretty silent after he boosts up his teammate, and so he decides to rotate on back. Notice that he walks back, because there was a chance that they could go up Arch here, so he's being really cautious about this, but knows that at this point, if they are going to be going towards A, he really does need to get into this bomb site to try to help out his teammate, OC, who's playing right behind default here. So you see he just gets in the nick of time, actually. And has a pretty nice 5-7 hold. Gets the gun. Does push out to try to get more. Maybe not necessarily the strongest option to just kind of swing out when you should be probably buying time for your teammates. But really crisp first headshot there. And now in this round, his teammates are just going to be grouped up towards A. It's just a stack. They're on full USPs. It's really... nothing too crazy to write home about just yet, but you can see that they are playing together as a team, and that's kind of a hallmark of this Cloud9 team. They're really, you'd probably look at this roster and on paper say, it's just a little bit like there might be other rosters in North America that you could argue for having more skill, especially ones that were in this qualifier. But you can notice that you'll notice that Cloud9, they really like to be playing off each other. Their trade percentage actually in this qualifier, I think, was the highest overall on both sides. Or maybe it was the highest on one side, but another team might have beat them on like CT side or something like that. But they're really good at trading off of each other. It doesn't seem like too many people die individually, so that's definitely something that's propelled them above other North American teams, is just their willingness to play really close, just like pretty much good trade protocols all the time. Even here, the setup that they're running, you can see that Floppy, he's playing a nice off angle towards middle. Usually people are going to be peeking to his left, but OC, he's right there ready to swing once Floppy gets first contact. So hopefully, if this does work out, Floppy, for example, would get one kill, he'd kind of fall back, and maybe he would use his flash to flash for OC to go for another peek towards middle, but really the round is just slowing down. MiBR have taken full banana control, so because they're devoid of info, Floppy was going to go for a flash play towards middle to try to maybe get some information, but at that same exact time, Sonic just begins to mow them all down towards this B side. Floppy taking the safe rotation towards Coffins here. Knows that this is probably going to secure the round, and he's even just waiting for contact at this point. Notice he's not peeking out at Coffins just yet. So that's pretty much going to be the round, though. The MiBR is just going to be saving. And so far, yeah, this is not all not too highlight, not too exciting, not too flashy yet, but there's not even too much to say. But just kind of see some of the standard procedures of this Cloud9 team and some of the little decision making that Floppy is a little bit more cautious than I think other players would be. Like, a lot of players would have sprinted through that smoke at Coffins, for example. Other players, when they rotated back through CT, when he had the 5-7, probably would have ran at some point. So you can see that he takes a few more precautions than your normal player. And now he's going for a really good jiggle, and they're in the same setup they were in the previous round, where OC is going to be playing in the cubby, Floppy's going to be playing the off angle towards middle. But because they got a teammate that rotates over, they can now play two kind of towards the lane side, the short side, and two towards the long arch side. Given that his teammates are pretty aggressive towards Arch, he wants to help them out, make sure that they're not taking two separate two-man fights on this bomb site, that they're going to try to use their number advantage as well as they can. And that's going to involve just putting him a little bit closer to bracket. So Floppy reads this pretty well. There's only a single set of utility that's actually being used here at A. Reads it that it is indeed a fake. The pressure that Sonic was getting towards B also alerts his team towards that. So he just kind of decides to take out the lurker here. Knows it's not legit, and still is gonna play the anchor role though. And he's gonna just he kind of was thinking of cheating over because there was still 25 seconds left, and I don't think the bomb was down. At least, I mean, it wasn't dropped. So he knew he had to move back just a little bit, but really just a good read on that. Just kind of knew Taco was kind of BSing that, and so good intuition there. Again, with the jump throw molly, then a good deep nade. Does a lot of damage. This is a nice support flash, but Sonic actually got blind by it. Might have been a miscommunication or not, maybe not called fast enough, realize. And then KNG just takes him out. Pretty online peek there, but that's kind of what KNG is really good at. Just kind of like the millisecond he's on your screen, it's just an instant headshot. So yeah, it's going to take Floppy out. But as you can see there, just kind of clean shots from him in order to clean him up towards Banana. Nice multi-frag. Could have probably used an off angle after those first couple kills, but it just felt like they were going to blindly rush at him, so thought he could take that angle towards CT. Another nade down mid. I'm pretty sure that's at least his second by now. Usually the value of that nade decreases over time as the other team gets conditioned to it. And you can see that now they're running a pretty similar setup. They seem to have a game plan here for their CT side that MiBR likes going arch a lot. And a lot of higher level teams do in fact like going arch. So it makes sense that they are going to start double stacking this. But MiBR actually, contrary to Cloud9's initial thought process, is going for a Halls pop here. So we're going to see how Floppy reacts to that from this cubby position. Here's one towards middle at least. That molly comes out, so Floppy decides to just move on forward. Also, I think the call came out that it was, in fact, a Halls pop. A nice Flash over porch, and a really good reaction. Here's Kanji running on that, kind of out that boiler area. Pretty sure he ran up mid, actually, so up that bracket. And just good, snappy reaction. You can see already that Floppy's aim is really crispy. I think so far... Let's actually just check while we're here. 66% of his kills, so 4 out of his 6 kills were ended with headshots, so... I mean, it's not like headshot percentage always means the most in certain circumstances, but, I mean, it's been pretty crispy thus far. Keep saying that word, but, crispy, but, whatever. Alright, so has to rotate back. Again, they started with a 3-banana setup. Still really cautious about the potential for a player to be coming up arch, so it's a really good peek onto KNG there. Pretty quick, too. Not jiggling it out or anything like that. Knows that OC is just kind of in this moto area, and that if someone is coming through, it's pretty likely they're just going to shoot him any given second, though. So it was just a really good swing. Now, his teammate's utility comes out. He's responsible for clearing Graveyard. Does pretty good damage to Fallen here. Gets him down to 21, so that makes it pretty easy for his teammates to clean that one up. But, yeah, you can see not always baiting on these kind of retakes or anything like that. So, just kind of, despite his M4 saying retake tool. It's kind of a funny name, actually. But yeah, again, they're just sticking with this arch setup. They're not really changing it all too much. But good utility towards mid. That nade is something, though, that I do want to point out. The way he kind of throws it, I'll show it where it landed. Kind of like right towards this middle area. So he kind of threw it in this general area right here. He threw the molly to land more or less here, but the nade kind of went here. And that's kind of an interesting idea for the Molotov. It's basically... It's kind of like in between. So he kind of threw it in the corner here. And what that does is it's not going to really nade them too hard if they're running up on this side. And it's not actually going to nade them too hard if they're instantly sprinting through it and going through porch. So it kind of like was between two decisions there of like where that nade wanted to go. And with nades in this game, you know, you probably want them to land right on people because that nade, he kind of went between both decisions. And in doing so, it led to the nade just not doing that much damage in general. And it kind of became a little useless. So Sonic dies on the other side of the map. Floppy wants to get some aggression back into this round, try to make this an even 4v4 situation. Goes for a dry push through the smoke. A little ill-advised, given that his teammates do have a lot of utility, but they do need something kind of quickly because Sonic was that lone B defender. So it just felt like that quick of a reaction was necessary in Floppy's mind. Whether... I mean, if it paid off, yeah, it could have secured some control towards bracket, but it was a pretty hard fight there. It was really just praying. So we're gonna see here that again, players died towards B pretty quickly. Floppy knows once again that those are the lone B defenders. So he has to try to make up some ground if they really want to win that round. And he's not afraid to just wide swing out. Here's that the player threw a smoke up close towards bracket. So tries to get himself back in the round by doing that. In this round, C9 running a different kind of apartment setup here. MOTM, I think he got kind of blocked by Floppy just a little bit there. So he gets taken out. Also just kind of stood out with the smoke a little bit long. So Motaka was able to take advantage of that. But Floppy, he was still considering playing around that smoke, but instead he's just going to move back here towards the balcony, which is a safe spot. And given that his previous aggressive pushes have all been punished, it's kind of natural to want to just say, okay, I just want to play my spot eventually here. Don't want to just keep pushing into the opponents. So he's going to just play pit. Obviously a very strong spot. Still has great utility as well. So can use this in order to try to slow down any oncoming defenders. This nade and flash combo is going to be able to support JT, so he can go for a nice peek towards middle. Just a really good pop flash there. And the smoke towards apartments as well slows down Taco, who he had a feeling was coming. And there you go. Floppy finally gets to play back on his own bomb site, but he's just getting surrounded by multiple angles. I think he had another flash, but decides to just go for the swing there as he's looking for the trade, hoping that he can maybe find the double spray down. Just kind of good spacing from MiBR there so that that wouldn't happen. But yeah, just kind of a nice little starting porch setup, but instantly has to rotate. And just gets sprayed down right through the smoke there. That's just going to be pretty unfortunate, given that it's pretty much the millisecond that he peaked. And I don't even know if the player that killed him saw him or saw his teammate next to him, because I think that was Taco was on top of Fountain. And yeah. So they are going to go back to this apartment setup. And they're just going to try it again. Maybe they felt like the previous time around wasn't indicative of how strong the setup is in their minds, so just going to go back to it. And you're going to see that Floppy here at this balcony can wreak a lot of havoc. Just good rifle work thus far. Good peeks catching them when they're kind of in no man's land. And good awareness too right here to find Taco. Kind of knows that Taco is the apartments player. Taco killed MOTM a couple rounds prior, so is possible that he would be coming out balcony there. Really good game sense there. There was a player from Floppy's team that was around here, so they probably had a sense that they weren't just kind of in this bracket area. So because that area was taken care of, kind of gives Floppy an idea that he probably isn't short, given that it'd just be fairly unlikely that he'd be kind of in the gaps of their lack of vision. So good read on the nade towards middle. Kind of gets spooked a little bit by that peek. And he goes for the re-peek there. This is one of the few times I would say Floppy probably took a fight that he didn't really need to. He heard, I think, though, that Taco was firing in OC's direction towards porch side, so he thought he could get a little nice swing, maybe a couple shots. And I'm not sure if he recognized exactly where his Molotov would have went, given the jump throw. That's just not something you're used to seeing, so maybe he thought there was some fire that was going to help that fight out for him. But regardless, probably the only mistake I would really say happened this half. Other times when he died in certain situations, a lot of times it was kind of because he felt like his hand was forced, and so you're trying to just gain ground back as fast as possible in some of those circumstances. Like the example was the push through the arch smoke. It may look kind of derpy from an outsider perspective, but it's one of those things where you just have to get ground back as fast as possible, because if they did just start charging up towards B, you need to make that retake a little bit more uncomfortable for MiBR's side. So, pretty standard stuff, though. Playing the rotator position at Arch, you can see that sometimes he'll start towards Banana, sometimes he starts towards Apartments. Pretty versatile player in terms of starting positioning, as professionals should be. And pretty much any time he was given a 50-50 gunfight, there was a pretty strong chance he was actually going to win it. So, you can see some pretty good mechanics for the most part in that first half there. But over here, game plan just falls to crap, honestly. Just pretty much nothing really about Floppy's play here. Just everyone kind of died everywhere. Good jump peek out. That actually did cause some crosshair disruption for KNG. Made it a little harder, but it's just unfortunate that Floppy couldn't find the shot there. Kind of a weird buy here from Cloud9. I feel like when I watched this game live that I felt like this was a misbuy. Like MOTM might have bought the Mac 10 armor immediately before they even had a plan, so people are kind of on a mismatched buy. Sonic even had to go back into spawn to buy this Deagle half armor, so kind of a weird set of utility here. But Floppy buys the molly to make sure Apartments is a little more clear, and then has a flashbang as well to support any kind of space, any attempt at trying to take space. So just clears Apartments. This is where he defaults normally on T sides. And we're just going to be waiting for this smoke here. Teammates are going to be the ones that flash out, actually. And just a good setup from MiBR. 3 guys there. There's no way that flash is going to blind all of them. So gets caught in that instance. So here, just buys a P250, just kind of doing his normal default procedures towards apartments, as they are going to try for a Hall's Pop of sorts. You can see that Sonic towards Bracket is trying to throw some flashes over for them. So one of them does connect, enables Floppy to find that kill. And he's able to find another on Mayern. And now in a 1v2 situation, he's getting here. He already knows there's 100% one towards port, so he's just going to focus on this fight here. Tries to find it, but hits a good headshot there. You can see there, again, like, Floppy's shots are really quick. Every one he killed pretty much that round was as fast as humanly possible. Really, there's a lot to be said about just how snappy and quick his shots can be at times. So you see a little bit of that revealing itself there. So this is pretty much his standard gun round default. He's going to molly the window every time, kind of jiggles this leg of the apartments. It's just a really strong jiggle right there, but since they mollied the apartments out, he knows it's pretty unlikely, so he can just take control a little bit quicker this time around. This is a good read from him, even though he is on the other side of the map by himself. Usually, in these kind of circumstances, players want to play a little bit slower because they don't want to give up the only control that their team has on this side of the map. But because MiBR mollied at the end of the hallway, he knows just standard procedure that there's going to be no one that's playing aggressively, so he can at least get into the lower leg of those stairs pretty early on. So he gets smoked out, tries to find a lineup there to get a kill on anyone that's maybe peeking behind the smoke. But at this point, he's just waiting for his teammates to group up with him as they go for some bracket control here. Molly comes out. Now the flash, and yep, bracket control is secured. Just doing pretty typical boiler room duties. But you're going to see Floppy here on a pretty hard lurk towards this arch side. He recognizes that nade came from library, just scopes up on KNG. KNG goes for the re-peek, takes him out. Now 5v4, and you're going to see one of the unluckiest deaths probably from this POV for a while. Just strafes out and Fallen from new box. Just takes him out instantly. Good hold from Fallen. But actually a really good clutch from OC was able to win that for the Cloud9 players. It was, in fact, a 1v3 that OC played pretty well. So you can see so far he's kind of an extremity player on Inferno, and that he's switching it up just a little bit here, not going through the halls as typically as he normally does. Given that it's an anti-eco, or an anti-force buy, as a matter of fact, he's going to be changing his approach just a little bit here. Doesn't really want to challenge that typical hall and wants to come through the window instead. So just kind of his thought process here on kind of it's still a decent, I mean, MiBR does have some weapons obviously, but it's just a slightly different approach, given that he did kind of telegraph the fact that he went through the right hand stairs last time around. So charges on forward, sees a blind Mayern, and just a good setup from MiBR again, where Mayern misses the shot, but Taco's right there ready to find the aggressing Floppy, and that's just a good setup from them. Really good shot from Taco, who I have to admit played mechanically pretty strongly in this BO5. Despite the fact that he's been a player I've criticized before. It feels like he really kind of showed up, at least in this qualifier. So full on porch and apartment split here. Floppy's going to be running out. Takes down Taco. Good utility, is able to really support Cloud9 on this take. They actually are able to win that round. So just Floppy knows what he has to do, knows he has to get out of the apartments, trusts his teammates' flashbangs, trusts that his teammates are coming up port side, going to be helping him out. But now, another gun round, just going to be going back to his default here. This kind of a T-side hall hold into the apartments is just really strong. And notice at the beginning of it, he doesn't hold it flush with the angle. When he holds it a little bit more to the left, it forces the CT to have to like walk out a little bit and then move forward or maybe already begin committing moving forward. So that the reason that when he's back here, like right there, he kind of doesn't hold it just out in the open flush. It's just so that he can't really get jiggle peeked as easily by the other team. But yeah, he's going to be clearing through apartments at this point, spamming. We'll see some pretty nice spams from Floppy later on, actually. Or another one. But this time they're actually going to double clear halls with Sonic. Just putting a little bit more presence here. Kind of thinks that MiBR... They kind of know MiBR's buy again. And they want to clear apartments, despite how risky it can be. But they do so at a little bit of a tag team there, as opposed to the normal solo Floppy clear. It's a good preemptive just kind of play on the default. Just knowing that Floppy's kind of shown his hand that he's been solo taking apartments thus far. So MiBR probably should have made the adjustment to stick a couple in apartments, trying to take him down. But they just play passively all across the map here, MiBR that is. Or you think that they would have made that adjustment, not necessarily that they should have. But yeah, Cloud9, they clear out all of apartments, get a little bit of bracket control, and they just go for a full-on B commit here. But it's getting really hampered by some of the utility, the counter utility from MiBR. Floppy recognizes that there was a gap in his own CT smoke, and so he just holds it with a Krieg. And pretty much this is a just simple crossfire at this point, just you know, standard stuff, new box emo. Sonic's kind of in no man's land a little bit here, but him getting first contact here is going to allow OC to actually get a nice peek if they were wide enough for Sonic to see them. And then Floppy just peeks out, knowing that the time's kind of running out, that the other player should be around, and is just ready for that fight towards CT. So once again, pretty much does this every time. Just mollies that apartment window. It's just such a strong peek if they do get a flash over, that you want to make it as hard as and uncomfortable for that player as possible. Because when you're running up, all mid, it's just the worst thing to get flash in the face. Maybe mess up your movement a little bit to try to get to new cover. So Floppy spots out the jiggling Mayern, and throws a little bit of a flash for himself to get towards middle here. You can see that kind of landed above here. Probably would have blinded anyone that's at the top of middle. Wouldn't be like a really crazy strong flash. But you heard that shot from top mid now. Still wary of the possibility of anyone flanking him, though. So just clears those angles out. And Mayern makes a step, and it's going to be fatal. Floppy's going to be able to take him out for free. So still just clearing everything, just making sure that he's not being held. But yeah, this time around, they didn't really send for the full commit. Cloud9 this time, when they did that anti-eco take on Banana, they decided to keep Floppy back a little farther. Kind of gave them a second option in case things did go poorly, as they kind of did that first time around, where it was actually a 3v5 for a moment. And this time Cloud9, they wanted to do a pretty quick B hit, so they went full commit towards Banana here, all 5 players. So we're going to see the util from Floppy come out. Just getting a just nice entry flash ready for his team. Flash over CT, entry flash as well, smoke towards coffins, and Fur, though, just mows him down. And they are still going to commit to this. And trying to get that plant down, gets dinked up. Floppy, though, always good for one. And still going to die in water. Not too much, really, to say about that. I guess you could look at Cloud9 a little bit and scratch your head just a little as to why that was such a fantastic failure on the entry there. But could have been just a great peek from Fur. And yeah, they're just going to go back to their default at this point, because the kind of all-in early play MiBR is just too ready for that. Setup's too strong. Players are skilled enough that they are going to hold and find those shots when they're presented them. Pre-fire once again towards apartments. And yeah, this time around, Floppy, he kind of has slowed down his pace a little bit. And you can see that in early rounds, he was actually taking apartments pretty quickly. This time around, he's taking a few more precautions. But good bracket take here with that help of that Sonic Flash. And knows it's pretty unlikely that there's anyone actually on this A site, so Floppy smokes the molly out, but actually Taco's still there. Just hits a really quick shot on him, and yeah, once again, you could just see Floppy's aim is really good in a lot of these circumstances. Just like Taco should have won that fight, you know, 8 out of 10 times. But because Floppy was able to hit that instant headshot and Taco kind of went for body shots, it just didn't. I mean, that's one of those just like, it's not like that round would have really changed, but that's one of those things where someone's mechanics kind of break around a little bit. And we're not really seeing that in this game where Floppy's mechanics are breaking any rounds per se, but those kind of, that level of skill actually enables him in other circumstances to just be so quick that sometimes a death will come about for the other team that normally shouldn't. So once again, just kind of defaulting out. The power of the Krieg does make holding this pretty flush stronger, I'd say. And you can see here, just kind of shooting to try to keep MiBR honest, actually. It doesn't really do anything, though, as they still, MiBR, that is, consider the, and go for the full-on B stack in this instance. So yeah, once again, going to be throwing this entry flash here. It's going to be going for another towards CT as well. Out comes the coffin smoke a little bit late. And yeah, the same kind of exec from a few rounds ago. This is pretty much the craziest spam of the game. Just, I literally, before I watched this game, I didn't even know that was possible, actually. And trust me, I've watched a lot of Inferno. Like, that's pretty crazy way to get Fur out of his spot, and that's probably Floppy's nastiest round of this game, right there. Even though it's an anti-eco, just being able to clear that player at second oranges and knowing that little spam there, which I feel like Valve is gonna patch out if they notice this, because that doesn't seem like it should be part of the game, actually. But, I mean, good game knowledge from Floppy there allows him to get onto the bomb site unscathed and then get to that new box position a lot cleaner than he would have otherwise. You know, Fur maybe could have found that, you know, headshot or just delayed them enough that a piece of util wouldn't have been there anymore. And it could have enabled the other MiBR players, unlock them in a way. But no, really clean spam. Just good game knowledge in general. And I think that's one of the things about this Cloud9 team. It's kind of interesting. Is that they have they don't, like when I look at some teams, they have a lot of tricks. But Cloud9, they just have enough that puts them over the edge. It's not like they have to run a one-way smoke all the time, or they need to have really sneaky, tricky pre-fires or angles or anything like that. Just enough that their skill can still show itself, but are like just few enough that their normal natural skill is shows that it's promising, but enough that it kind of, you know, can bust open rounds like that. So here, Floppy actually going to be aggressing towards apartments this time on an A hit. Going to be throwing some nice flashes towards Graveyard. Kind of a shame that these are just blinding himself right now. But yeah, those are otherwise really good flashbangs. They blind a lot of the spots in the site. And really important kill from OC. 3v2 here, though. And despite the number disadvantage here, they were down to a 2v4 at one point. This is probably one of the hardest retakes for MiBR on pretty much any map. Retaking A on Inferno is probably the hardest of nearly any map. Maybe Beyond Dust 2's up there also, but Beyond Dust 2 can be a little more random. So dodges the flash from Pit. doesn't just take the same angle again, waits for now OC to potentially get contact, and now he's on the bicycle, ready for, if Fallen runs onto the bomb site, to swing. Was probably biding his time just a little bit there, but really he let a lot of OC do a lot of the work there, and otherwise just played it in a really solid fashion, not peeking in a way that would unnecessarily cost his life. He knew Fallen's position, he knew that he was towards Porch, towards that short side, and just, you know, doesn't expose himself, lets OC get that contact. OC had the lower HP in that situation as well, so another reason to for Floppy to just kind of let OC get the first contact. If Fallen kills him, pretty likely that Floppy will just find the trade. So, match point, same Molotov as always. Kind of expecting a different sort of peak there from the apartments. And this is a pretty hard angle for that apartments player to notice. Just kind of half in the doorway right there, blocking him. But he's just kind of going between these two angles, just making sure that no one is aggressing towards apartments, because this is going to be a B hit. Cloud9 kind of calling for that off the bat. Not even really feigning for bracket control early on. But it looks like a mid-round call comes out to send them towards bracket here. And yeah, just being really thorough still. They still have plenty of time to work with, 45 seconds. And yeah, going to be coming through apartments once again. More or less going to be the same kind of pinch on the site that happened previously, so this time he's not going to blind himself, thankfully. But yeah, good supporting flashes. And yeah, that's going to be it. MiBR is going to take him out, but we're going to just watch Sonic here, another one of the stars of the team, as they close this one out. Because this is, in fact, the last round. That is Floppy for you. But yeah, just good stuff overall from him. Just things to be said, I guess. Really, Floppy, just really kind of that outside extremity lurker player. Nothing really too crazy about his playstyle. You're not seeing him having to fight for map control like Electronic would, for example. That's a player that just uses a lot of rifle work, little default tricks. You can see that the style of his Cloud9 team is a little bit more just kind of like group think. You can see that most of the plays that they do are together, that they're not just individually scattering across the map, looking for control, relaying that info back to their IGL and making a mid-round call. Most of these rounds, there's a play in mind before the round starts. A lot of the time, you can see that occasionally there's a mid-round made, but it felt like in that game, maybe, I mean, you don't know exactly what's going through the heads of these players or their comms, but it seemed like more often than not, it's just kind of, there's a play decided at the beginning of the round, and they just carry out that whole procedure. And that kind of dictates Floppy's pace in his default take, and it really just kind of shows just how all these pieces work together on Cloud9 as well. That even though Floppy was their top fragger in this game, he's not having to, he's not just mega baiting, he's not just flying at the opposing team because his mechanics are really strong. He's playing within a system that kind of makes this Cloud9 team in a way exciting on T sides. Their CT side still leaves a little bit to be desired, but it seems like they've actually improved that from ESL Pro League up until this IEM qualifier. So that's pretty reassuring if you're a fan of Cloud9 or Floppy for that matter. But otherwise, other than that, that's going to be the analysis here. I'm trying to get back into these guys, so it's been a while. I know. Hopefully, I guess a little background stuff on what's been going on. Hopefully you guys saw me at Epicenter if you guys are fans, and hopefully you don't just live in the YouTube bubble and are just watching my content without any context at all. I've been also doing the Peaker's Advantage podcast, which will be starting up again rather shortly, so hopefully you guys are subbed to us on Patreon for that. I'll just leave links to everything below so you can keep in touch with what's going on, I guess. So yeah, Peaker's Advantage. And yeah, hopefully you guys will see me on some more analyst desk. If you guys noticed me at Epicenter this last December in Moscow, great experience. But yeah, that's Floppy's player analysis video. And as always, being toxic is a choice.